Hello friends, welcome to Insights ICANN initiative. As a part of Prelims High Yielding Series, we are discussing about international relations in today's video. In this video, we will cover international relations mainly between the month of January to April. And if you look at the international relations IR related questions, at least you can expect around 5 to 8 questions in every year prelims. And most of these questions are India related one. So we have to learn by keeping India in mind and how the particular issue is related to India. Not only that, most of these questions are direct in nature. For example, whether India is a member in a particular organization or not, and the places in news they are asking. Of course, places in news is going to be a separate series. It is not going to be included in this. So that is going to be a separate video. And whatever the topics we picked, these are according to the UPSC PYQs. Okay, based on the PYQs, these topics been picked. And this IR, this is not the only one video. In future also you can expect couple of videos related to IR so that the entire year roundup will be finished. Okay. Now let's see. So these are the 10 topics we are going to cover in this video. As usually, this video's PDF will be included in the video description. From that you can download the PDF. The first topic will be the AUKUS. You know that students, AUKUS stands for Australia, UK, US. Recently, AUKUS, this partnership, AUKUS group, they decided to provide nuclear submarines to Australia. Here you have to understand, nuclear submarine is different from submarine with nuclear weapons. Okay, here we are not talking about submarine with nuclear weapons. We are talking about nuclear fuel submarine. Okay, because Australia is a signatory on the non-proliferation treaty, Australia cannot have a nuclear arms. Okay, so let's see. USA, Australia and Britain, they agreed that they can provide nuclear powered submarines to counter China in the Indo-Pacific region. Actually, initially France was agreed to provide, later Australia shifted their agreement to UK. Because of that, there was some diplomatic tension between the Australia and France as well. So to counter the China's ambition, they decided this. AUKUS partnership, it was signed in 2021 as a trilateral security partnership between the Australia, UK and USA. This is a trilateral defense deal in the Indo-Pacific region and security deal as well. So the first major initiative under AUKUS will be providing nuclear fuel submarine fleet to Australia, and it is not about nuclear weapons, I mean submarine with nuclear weapons, because Australia is already signatory of NPT, so they cannot have the nuclear weapon submarines. That is the topic number 1. Second topic about the comprehensive, okay, so comprehensive progress. Okay, second topic will be the comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. You already know that USA withdrawn from the Trans-Pacific Partnership TPP when Donald Trump was president. After USA withdrawn, rest of the countries included in the Trans-Pacific Partnership were Canada, Mexico, Peru, Chile and Australia, New Zealand, some other countries. Recently UK announced that they are joining in this comprehensive progress partnership for Trans-Pacific Partnership. Okay, this is the first non-European grouping where UK is joining after the Brexit. Let's see. UK agreed that they will become a part of the first non-European country, I mean European country joining in the comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. It is a free trade agreement between the 11 nations. From the eastern part of the Pacific Ocean, countries such as Chile, Mexico and Peru, Canada are participating, and the other side of the Pacific Ocean, rest of the countries are there. This particular grouping was formed in 2018. It succeeded the Trans-Pacific Partnership which formed in 2017. From this Trans-Pacific Partnership, USA exited, like I mentioned earlier, during the Donald Trump time. All the 11 countries are the members of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation. Actually, Asia-Pacific Cooperation is the larger group compared to this particular group. Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, it is around 21 Asia-Pacific economic countries and it was established in 1989. The CPTPP, its main objective is to promote the free trade and economic cooperation in the Asia-Pacific region. And its headquarters is located in the Singapore, this CPTPP. And these are the member countries in the APEC group. Okay, this is the second topic. And the third one is regarding the Finland joining in the this NATO. Okay, you know, after Finland joining in the NATO, it was assured with more security because as Russia is trying to occupy Ukraine, Finland also sensed that they may have that kind of issue as well. Previously, Russia tried to invade certain parts of Finland. Once a particular country joined in NATO, you know that in NATO, which is formed based on the Washington Consensus, in the Washington Agreement, Article 5 speaks about collective defense. If one member country of NATO will be attacked by other countries, then they are considered as a combined attack on NATO, and all the countries mobilize and they support to that particular country. So that Finland now it was assured with a security. Finland joining in NATO, military alliance. NATO, what is the nature of grouping? Military alliance. It is one of the bigger blow to Russia's expansion ambitions. NATO was formed in 1949 after the Washington Treaty. NATO is a security alliance with 30 member countries. After Finland joining in this, Finland is going to be the 31 member countries. Okay. Finland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, 3 countries together known as Scandinavian countries. Okay. Next, recently Finland joining as a 31 member country in the NATO. NATO's fundamental goal is to safeguard their allies' freedom as well as security by political and military means. It is a system of collective defense where independent member agrees for a mutual defense in case of any attack from the external party. Like we discussed, Article 5 of the Washington Treaty states that attack against one country considered as attack against all the countries. This article forms the core of the alliance, a promise of collective defense. And NATO headquarters present in Brussels, Belgium. And here you can find the Finland. On the western side of Finland, Sweden, northern side of the Finland, Norway, and the eastern side of the Finland is Russia. And these are the borders. Next, Scandinavian countries, Norway, Sweden, Finland, together known as Scandinavian countries. Nordic countries, if we add Denmark, Iceland, and some smaller islands and Greenland, then they are known as Nordic countries. Then Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, they are together known as Baltic countries. Next, global north, global south. Recently, when in the G20 meeting which was held in India, India mentioned that it is going to take up the problems facing by these global south countries, and it will act as a voice of the global south. Okay, now in this context, we try to understand what is global south, global north. Global south, global north division is mainly depends on the development of the countries. So obviously, developments also reflects in the quality of life, life expectancy, wealth, and all the other aspects of the human being. Most of this global south includes southern countries to equator, except a few countries like China. And of course, in the southern hemisphere, Australia and New Zealand present, these are not present in the global south, they are the global north. India assumed the G20 presidency this year, and our External Affairs Minister of India, he reiterated that our India role as a voice of the global south, it is going to be continued. So far, global south countries, they were underrepresented, and India is going to represent the global south and global south cause. Next, global north, it refers to countries like USA, Canada, and the entire Europe, Russia, Australia, New Zealand. Australia, New Zealand, these are the only 2 countries which are present in southern hemisphere, which are the global north countries. Global south, entire Asia, Africa, and South American countries, global south. This classification is mainly in terms of wealth, education, and healthcare. Of course, in global south, nowadays India and China are developing very quickly, and it is posing challenges to global north. Next, here you have to understand first world, second world, and third world countries. First world, these are the Cold War era alliance of USA and Russia. Third world countries are the non-aligned countries. Eastern and western countries. Western countries are generally greater level of economic development and prosperity, and the eastern countries are less in terms of the economic wealth and prosperity. So these are the different groupings we use, okay, in IR. Next, recently G7 meeting was held, and our Indian Prime Minister requested G7 nation to put their investment in the renewable energy sector in India. Okay, G7 country, this year G7 was hosted by Germany, and if you know, students, put your answer when, next year G7, which country is going to host the next year G7 meeting. So recently in the 48th G7 summit, Indian Prime Minister invited the G7 nations to invest in the clean energy technologies in India. Germany hosted the G7 meeting in 2023. Okay, 2023. And one more thing you have to understand, previously the G7 used to be G8, and after Russia, when Russia occupied Crimea in Ukraine in 2014, Russia expelled out of the G8 and G8 becomes the G7. G7 stands for the globally developed countries. The Germany, which is hosted the G7, it invited Argentina, India and Indonesia, Senegal and South Africa to the G7 summit. Actually, India is not a member of G7 country. Group of 7, it is an intergovernmental organization. It is formed to discuss some of the common interests such as global economic governance, international security and energy policy. G7 countries are obviously France, Canada and Japan, Italy, Germany, USA and UK. These are the G7 countries. India does not have any membership. G7 does not have any formal secretariat or formal charter. Next, it is about global biofuel alliance. India proposed this when India hosted the G20 summit this year. Global biofuel alliance is all about encouraging the investment in the biofuel and encouraging the production of biofuel across the globe. Some countries already responded positively, and some international organizations also, they expressed their willingness to be part of global biofuel alliance. So this global biofuel alliance, as a part of the India policy on the biofuel 2018, India announced that they are going to achieve 20% of ethanol in petrol by 2030 and 5% of ethanol in diesel by 2030. And advanced biofuels, as a part of helping to development of the advanced biofuel, government is going to fund the viability gap funding for 2G ethanol biorefineries around 5,000 crores in next 6 years. Viability gap funding means whatever the losses are there in setting up these biofuel plants, that losses will be funded by the government. And of course, through this policy, we categorized biofuels into 4 different types. And this policy also set up the National Biofuel Coordination Committee under the Ministry of Petroleum Natural Gas. Okay, let's see the classification of biofuel. Biofuel classified into 4 ways: first, second, third, and fourth. The common thing is, as we moving from the first generation to fourth generation, the amount of carbon released from this biofuel is reduced. First generation biofuel, they are high carbon content, they are sugar, corn, starch. Second generation biofuel, these are less in carbon content compared to the first generation biofuel, they are rice husk, wood chips. Third generation biofuel, they are carbon neutral, that means zero carbon emission from these fuels, algae. Fourth generation biofuel, they are the negative carbon, that means they will take up the carbon from the atmosphere. They are the genetically modified, genetically engineered crops. They are carbon negative. So this is Global Biofuel Alliance. At the 14th Clean Energy Ministerial and 8th Mission Innovation, this meeting, it established the Global Biofuel Alliance. India proposed this Global Biofuel Alliance in the G20 session, and initiated countries are India, USA, Brazil. Next year G20 meeting is going to be happen in Brazil. 19 countries already expressed their expression of interest to join in this grouping, and 12 international organizations as well. The main aim of this one is to strengthen the global biofuel trade for sustainable future. Significance for India, this Global Biofuel Alliance, it transfers, it facilitated the transfer of technology and mobilization of climate funds. E20 targets, India achieved the E10 target already. E10 means ethanol 10, that means 10% of ethanol and 90% of the petrol. India aims to achieve E20 by 25-26. Next, recently Russia withdrawn from one of the strategic arms control agreements, STARK, you can call it as STARK agreement. It is the only agreement which is there between the USA and Russia after the previous agreements were lapsed. From that only agreement also, recently Russia announced that they are withdrawing from that agreement. This agreement is related to controlling of arms. During the Cold War time, both Russia and USA, they promised to each other about, they are not going to increase their weapons. They are not going to increase their nuclear hits. Regarding that, various treaties were signed They are such as ABM Treaty, INF Treaty, START and SORT and New START. This New START Treaty was made during the Obama period of time. So, New START Treaty, Russia announced that they are suspending their participation from the New START Treaty. START stands from Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. First START Treaty was signed in 1991 and it is came to be implemented from 1994. There are some other treaties as well, such as Strategic Offensive Arms. It applies to strategic nuclear delivery vehicles. Strategic nuclear delivery vehicles are nothing but what? Intercontinental ballistic missiles, which can deliver nuclear weapons beyond 5,000 kilometers. It is the only last remaining arm control treaty between the Russia and USA. Signed by Barack Obama in 2010, extended by Joe Biden, it took place in 2011. Okay, it took effect in 2011 after signing in 2010. It is going to be there till 2026, but Russia suspended its participation. Next, Paris Club. Recently, Sri Lanka took money from Paris Club for its to overcome from its debt crisis. Regarding this, we will try to understand what is this Paris Club and what is the significance of this Paris Club. Sri Lanka reached an agreement in principle with the India and the Paris Club group of creditors including Japan. This agreement is about the debt treatment plan that will provide IMF funds of around 3 billion recovery package. This Paris Club is an informal group of creditor countries. So they together support nations, whichever the nation facing the debt crisis. This was established in 1956, Paris Club. Headquarters in the city, it is named after Paris. The Paris Club, it helps to any country to tide over the financial difficulties. Countries facing financial constraints are unable to meet their debt repayment deadlines, they can take the help of the Paris Club. But once they take the money and loan from the Paris Club, they cannot avail any loan from the other international organizations. Member countries, most of the member countries are from the Western countries as well as the members of the OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. There are around 22 member countries in the Paris Club at the moment. Next, Windsor Agreement. Windsor Agreement was made between the British Prime Minister and EU Chief. Windsor Agreement is all about how to treat North Ireland. You know the students, UK exited from the European Union. Actually, United Kingdom consisted of Northern Ireland, England, Scotland, Wales. But this United Kingdom exited from the European Union. So, this Northern Ireland, which is sharing with the border with Ireland, this is the open border. When UK is not in the European Union, obviously, then what about the goods exchange between the Ireland and Northern Ireland? So, UK and EU, they came to an agreement that Northern Ireland is going to be a part of the EU in terms of trade, okay, and whatever the goods coming from the rest of the UK to Northern Ireland and Northern Ireland to UK, they will be checked, okay, they will be checked regarding the country of origin. Based on that, those goods will be taxed. So the Windsor Agreement is about UK government recently reached a landmark deal with the European Union regarding the trade rules related to Northern Ireland. This Windsor framework will replace the Northern Ireland Protocol. This Northern Ireland is a British ruled province, part of the United Kingdom, and it shares open border with Ireland, and this agreement keeps Northern Ireland inside the EU single market for goods. Very, very important. It keeps Northern Ireland in EU in terms of economy, not in terms of political. So whatever the goods coming from the rest of the UK, they are subjected to checks and control. This is about the Windsor Agreement. Next, we are going to discuss about the Nord Stream pipeline. Nord Stream pipeline is the pipeline which transports natural gas from Russia to Germany. The first pipeline, there are two pipelines between the Vyborg as well as Ustaluga of Russia to the Greifswald of the Germany. This pipeline goes through the Baltic Sea. Recently, there are widespread, news that this Nord Stream pipeline was also being targeted by the some of the groups, Russian groups, so that they exploded this one, but of course it is yet to be confirmed. The recent claims made by the investigative journalist regarding the bombing of the Nord Stream gas pipeline have ignited the discussions and controversies. Okay, so here you have to understand what is the Nord pipeline. It is a natural gas pipeline which runs under the Baltic Sea. It connects the Russia and Germany. What is the main aim? Main aim of transporting the natural gas from Russia to Europe, bypassing the traditional route of Ukraine. The first line was finished in 2011 and the second line was finished in 2012. Nord 1, Nord 2. Nord 1 connects Vyborg in Russia to the Lublin in Germany. Nord 2 connects Ustaluga in Russia to the Germany, Lublin in Germany. Okay, so this is about the Nord pipe stream. So these are the 10 topics related to IR. Now we will see yesterday's video question. Consider the following and choose the correct code. The President convenes the session of each house of the Parliament. S. He can prorogue both the houses of or either house, right? He can dissolve the Rajya Sabha. No, he cannot dissolve the Rajya Sabha. He can dissolve the Lok Sabha. Yes, he can dissolve the Lok Sabha. So answer must be 1, 2, 4. Okay, A. Answer must be A, 1, 2, 4. Next, under which article of the Indian Constitution the Governor has the power to reserve a bill for the President assent? Article 200. S. Next, which statement is not correct about the Jammu Kashmir? Jammu Kashmir has its own constitution. No, it is gone after the abrogation of 370. No discussion regarding the disposition of the state of J&K can be made by the government of India without the consent of the state government. Not required. State government consent is not required. Residuary powers in respect of J&K rest with the state government. No, it is not with the state government, it is with the parliament. So answer is D. Now let's see today's video questions. With reference to Baltic Sea, consider the following statement. Read the 3 statements and pick the right one. Next one. Where was the first summit of G20 held? This is regarding the G20. Next one. India is a member of which among the following? India is a member of which among the following countries? These are today's MCQ questions. As we reach to the end of this video, now let's see. So these are the topics we discussed in today's video, and this is a rapid revision regarding the international relations. I hope this adds value to your preparation, and if you have any suggestions regarding this particular IR topics, please feel free to put comments under this video. Thanks for watching.